Class 2. Just trying to get the PowerPoint to work. Come on, wake up, PowerPoint. So it went ahead. No, okay. So the I am presence and the era of the U.S. Society, just to give people some context, and it was the Great Depression of the 30s. So to understand more of the societal beliefs, just to give, again, background, because some of the language for some people and context may be difficult for them to move around through if they're not thinking about when this course was delivered. So the Roaring Twenties brought this rapid expansion of the stock market. Investors were making high profits from their stocks. The banks increased their wealth exponentially and desired more. They expanded into the untapped market of the lower wage earners by promising the great opportunity for wealth. The banks secured loans by getting lower wage earners to mortgage their sole security, which was their home. There was a high level of trust citizens gave their bankers. Bankers were held in high status positions. They were leaders in their communities. And so when the bankers created penny stocks, it was a product that the lower wage earners could afford. And making them affordable, if you couldn't afford it, if you owned a house, then the banks offered to secure a loan based off you, a lower wage earner mortgaging their home. The naive investor believed what they were told, that the opportunity would provide a much greater financial fortune than could be made with their low salary. These first-time investors, through their investments, they thought that it was a sure thing. They signed the loans using that only collateral they owned, which was their home. And nearly at the same time, a few of the high-profile investors began pulling their money out of the stock market in the months ahead of the collapse. And this fact was made public much later. Meanwhile, the penny stocks helped to infuse the market by providing new cash flow. It wasn't enough to stop its decline. Black Tuesday, October 29th, the stock market crashed, losing billions of dollars. Meanwhile, drought swept over 100 million acres in the U.S. Dust Bowl, including parts of Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Kansas. Farm owners or crop sharers renting land, realizing they could not sustain themselves in the Dust Bowl, abandoned their land, seeking employment elsewhere. Tent cities sprung up along roadsides and in cities and towns as populations of transients looked for work. Unemployment, already on the rise before the crash, exploded. As businesses shuttered, banks called in mortgages, families found themselves suddenly without work and homeless. Drought conditions in the South caused food shortages from crop failures, including cotton, and these are considered key causes of the Great Depression. Single women held low-wage jobs as nurses, teachers, seamstresses, beauticians, secretaries, and some manufacturing positions. Society expected them to leave these positions upon marriage to fulfill the role of housewife and mother. Although women got the right to vote in 1920, society viewed them as second-class citizens. Married women gave financial control over to their husbands, including bank account and property. Married women fought other married women, believing men should be put to work first. Failure to support yourself and family was considered a character flaw. Despite the fact that approximately 300,000 companies went out of business, people blamed themselves. Only after U.S. Senate hearings investigating the role of banking on Wall Street did U.S. citizens understand the depth of the investment world's greed, deception, and manipulation. Beginning in 1933, President Roosevelt introduced monetary aid for job stimulus money to strengthen the U.S. economy, and in 1935 came the first social insurance and poverty relief programs. Sorry, my screen is hiding this part. These were the conditions students were facing, desperately seeking relief. St. Germain students were predominantly male, considered the family's provider. Men were expected to leave their communities to seek work elsewhere. Women did not travel alone due to the dangers of travel. As word spread of amazing stories of Godfrey Ray King's about St. Germain and his teachings, seekers came, and they came to Mount Shasta. They were hoping to learn how to secure a better future for themselves, families, and communities. St. Germain recognized the mindset of those in his classes, teaching to the students in a way that was easier for the students to grasp. He would alter names and references of different cultures when teaching in another land, and he has taught in many different lands. He kept central to the spiritual truths while expanding them. The names God and Jesus were Christian philosophy. With Christian philosophy, it was easy to relate to. St. Germain honors Jesus as a master teacher and ascended master. While it might seem in these discourses that he favors the U.S., in reality, he does not favor one religion or country or philosophy over another. He favors love of source. He remains constant in his loving use of the I am. The invocation. So if you wish, you can read this with me, or you can just sit in your hearts and just feel the vibration and the consciousness of his intentions that he gives in this invocation. All infinite, all-pervading presence, thou mighty master within each human form. So he's calling to your infinite presence within you that is all-pervading. Thou infinite, all-pervading presence, thou mighty master within each form. He's calling this out from each of us. We acknowledge and accept thy full presence. So just allow yourself to breathe in and breathe out. That's it. Feel, sense, however it is for you, that through this acknowledgement and intention, you are calling out your all-pervading infinite presence from within, acknowledging it and accepting it. Something is not a gift until we receive it, till we hold it in our hands, till we accept it. We acknowledge and accept thy full presence manifest within these forms and within the human form of every individual that God has sent forth. So this includes even those that do not understand that they have this presence within them. They do not know. He's also acknowledging and letting us know to acknowledge the full presence within all forms. We give praise and thanks that at last we have become aware of this. This mighty presence to whom we can turn and recognize the fullness of God's activity, the I am of all things. The I am within you, the I am within me, is the I am that is of all things. That's it. And just giving thanks. If your eyes are closed at any time, you can choose to open them as we begin Discourse 2. Greetings to you all. When Jesus said, "I am the resurrection and the life," he gave forth one of the mightiest utterances that can be well expressed. When he said, "I am," he did not refer to outer expression, but he did refer to the mighty master presence, God within. Because he repeatedly said, "I of myself can do nothing." It is the Father within, the I am, that does the work. As we have higher truth now in this time and place, 2023, and what we call the Father, you can call Source, you can call the Creator. It's that energy of all it is, that ever has been, that ever will be, that created all life and creation. It's an intelligence, it's pure love consciousness. And again, he's using language to reach the religious people, predominantly Judeo-Christian. He is not necessarily preaching Christianity, he's just reaching the Christian mind here. So finding your language that will allow you to receive the message that is underneath the wording of thy Father within, thy divine light within, the source within, that is also we're immersed in. Again, Jesus said, "I am the way, the life, and the truth." Giving recognition to the one and only power, God in action within him. Again he said, "I am the light that lighteth every man that cometh into the world." And we now have awarenesses more of our chakras and the light that flows through our grounding channel. This is what Saint Germain is imparting to us, that the light that is around us, from the sunshine to the moonlight that's ever present, it's glowing through the stars, it's the same light within us. Prefacing every statement of vital importance with the words, "I am." Contemplating I am as anything and everything you wish to be is one of the mightiest means of letting loose the inner God power, love, wisdom, and truth. So let's just sit for a moment, close your eyes, allow yourself to move into your heart. That's it. Feel that presence, the I am, however it is you perceive it. That energy, that light, that vibration as you breathe in and out. It is this energy, this presence, that can be anything and everything you wish it to be. This is the source light, your inner divine power. It contains love, wisdom, and truth. And it is our path to begin to be more conscious as to how we use this energy, how we qualify it. Whether we qualify it through being in our hearts, connected to love, or whether we let our ego mind step forward and qualify it with fear. Either way, the I am energy will follow the path that you choose, because you and I have free will. And when we're anxious, when we're fearful, when we're doubtful, we're sending the I am energy to anything and everything we wish. And if we're letting our minds run in those qualities of fear, of anxiousness, of doubt, then that is where the energy goes, and it's the point of creation. And if we sit in the love vibration, creating within our hearts, generating love, we gain access to higher wisdom, higher truth, and the I am energy gets diverted there to create more of that for us. More of it for our being, more for our life. And as divine beings, as creators of our own lives, we get to choose how we want to use our I am power. And as we sit in our hearts, contemplating the I am, breathing it in and out with gratitude, appreciation for our light, that quality of love goes into our body, bringing greater love and higher light vibrations to support the health of the body. And in this love vibration, when we then activate our inner sight, our imagination, imagining what it is we would like to bring forth into our lives, into our world for the highest benefit of all. We begin to set this inner God power in motion, into action in our outer experience. That's it. I'm giving thanks for this awareness. If you would like to gently open your eyes, remaining in this love vibration to receive the further slides. Again, says Saint Germain, let us refer to his mighty utterance, perhaps one of the greatest ever spoken, in the outer expression, I am the open door which no man can shut. The I am in your heart is yours. Do you not see how very vital this is when you come to review understandingly these mighty statements, when you recognize and fully accept the I am as the mighty presence of God in you in action, you will have taken one of the greatest steps to liberation. Now mark you in the utterance of that truth. I am the open door which no man can shut, if you can but realize it. It is said that the longest distance any person will travel is from their head to their heart. We can think something, and we move to believing it, and then we move into embodying it, which is the realization. You have the key that allows you to step through the veil of flesh, carrying with you all consciousness that you have generated or accumulated, which is imperfect, and there transmute it. Or in other words, raise it into the perfection into which you have stepped. So all your past experiences, your past emotions, our thoughts that were less than kind, things we've taken on from other people that we believe is us from this life or other lifetimes, we can bring this into truth by raising it into the love light, the perfection in which you have stepped. You've stepped into the I am presence, and it is here where transmutation can be made. Too much stress cannot be laid upon the importance of contemplating. The Buddhists contemplate. Many different philosophies use contemplation as often as possible. The I am as the mighty active presence of God in you, in your home, in your world, and in your affairs. Taking time in our day. Our time seems to be more and more demanded upon, and yet when we take the time to contemplate, we are more centered in ourselves. And it's reflected in our home, it's reflected into your world and into your affairs, because let's face it, there are people in life that it can be difficult for us to hold our center. As we center more often within the I am presence regularly, we become stronger in that presence, and we're less, people are less able to affect us, and situations are less affecting us, because this presence is so truthful that we are in a peaceful vibration. And eventually, through the law of attraction, law of the entrainment law, this becomes more and more reflected in our home, world, and affairs. We just have to hang on long enough for it to begin to be noticed by ourselves. Every breath you breathe is God in action in you. Every breath you breathe, this is God in action in you. Your ability to express or send forth thought and feeling is God acting in you. One cannot do these activities without light. The light communication in our bodies flows through the chakras, comes from the universal source. So every energy particle of pure love light is the perfection of God in action. You having free will, it is entirely up to you to qualify the energy sent forth in your thought and feeling and determine how it shall act for you. No one can say, "How shall I know how to qualify this energy?" For everyone knows the difference between destructive and constructive thought, feeling, and action. For humans, usually it's the feeling that we become aware of first, and then we feel that disharmonious feeling and we back up and we realize we've had a destructive thought. The student in receiving instruction should constantly analyze. I prefer the word discern because for most people, analyze is a ego manifestation, and it actually takes them out of their heart. So he uses analyze, I've put in discern, the motive behind, back to the question to detect if in that motive there is a feeling of intellectual pride, arrogance, or stubbornness in the outer mind or body. So he's given you this information of how do you know whether or not something is you're using your energy to qualify in a positive way or a constructive way. And if someone's asking that question, they're asked to look at the motive behind, because the intellectual pride, etc., this is all, again, ego. But it's not only just this question. How many times have you been in a class and somebody has asked a question just to draw their attention to themselves, for example? We all sometimes will ask questions from this motive, and he's asking you to be aware that the questions you come up with, to discern the motive behind them. If there is within the motive a lurking desire to argue and prove the instruction wrong, rather than receive the blessing and truth intended, the individual has unknowingly shut the door for the time being to his or her ability to receive the good offered. Again, may I remind the students, regardless of their personal opinions as to what the truth shall be, I have proven through many centuries these condensed instructions now being given forth. If one wants to receive the greatest benefit possible and the comprehension that will be absolute, certain freedom and liberation, listen with an entirely open mind, with the consciousness that the I am, the active presence of God in you, is your certain ability to receive, accept, and apply without limit. So when we move into the I am presence and we're breathing in and out in an open space, it is the I am that you're connected to. And it is the I am then that you receive in, accept in, and apply without limit the instruction which is being given forth with an accompanying radiance, which will enable certain students at this time to comprehend these simple yet mighty assertions of truth to their great blessing and freedom. And I wonder as you rest there, how you're becoming aware of that radiance. And it is the I am within, receiving, accepting, flying without limit, and the openness of a student, the allowingness of a student, that it is the divine mind, the divine light moving through us, helping us to comprehend these simple yet mighty assertions of truth. And as the I am within us receives the radiance, a download, if you will, occurs. Because we're taking time and space in this moment to be in the I am presence, receive the radiance, rather than gloss over some words. And that download of information, of consciousness in the light, activates certain regions within our body's intelligence, our mind's intelligence, the neurotransmitters, the neuroreceivers of the brain. Receiving high frequencies of light, of truth, updating the appropriate regions in the brain and the body, which has an effect on the aura. As the light frequencies apply the frequency shifts without limit in alignment with our divine plan and our readiness to consciously work, intentionally work in this radiance. As we receive these assertions of truth, they bring great blessing and freedom, not just for ourselves, but for all life and creation. It brings benefit to all as we shine our light of truth, of love, more brightly, more greatly. It blesses our loved ones, our work, our home, our lands, our countries, and our earth. That's it. Noticing what you notice as you rest, receive, accept. Your I am presence, applying without limit the instruction, the downloads, the consciousness, the qualities of the accompanying radiance. radiance of truth, which brings blessings and freedom, flowing throughout your being, throughout your life, throughout your world, and beyond your world. That's it. And then gently opening your eyes, noticing the quality of your shift and giving thanks as the shift continues throughout these slides. The admonition that has been before humanity through many centuries: you cannot serve two masters. Why is this so? First, because there is only one intelligence, one presence, one power that can act, and that is the presence of God acting in you. There is only one intelligence, one presence, one power that can act, and that is the presence of God acting in you. Your ability to lift your hand and the life flowing through the nervous system of your outer form, your body, is God in action in your body through your mind. Dear students, try to use the simple means as a reminder of God in action. When you turn to the outer manifestation and give all kinds of expressions and appearances power, you are attempting to serve a false, usurping master, because the outer expression can only find an appearance through the use of God's mighty energy. Your ability to lift your hand and the light flowing through your nervous system is the outer form. It is God in action in your body through your mind. So try to use this simple means as a reminder of God in action in you. When you start to go down the street, think for an instant, this is God's intelligence and power by which I walk. And this is His intelligence by which I know where I am going. Thus you will see that it is no longer possible to go on without understanding that every move you make is God in action. Whether you're doing the dishes, as you're sitting here reading the slides, your eyes taking in the letters and making sense of them, understanding the words, all of this requires light frequency. And this is God in action. It's also, once you receive the words and you understood them, then the feedback loop goes back out through those same wires to the next action. So the sending and receiving and acting upon is all one, God in action. Every thought in your mind is God's energy, which enables you to think. Why not adore and give full confidence to, trust in, have faith in? You know this is a fact. There is no disputing it, and accept this mighty presence of God in action in you. When you know this as a fact, instead of looking for the outer expression, which is clothed, qualified, and colored by the outer or human concept of things, regardless of the one mighty presence, which enables the outer to express. All outer form and its attendant expression is but the experience of life, by which each individual may learn, through his or her own experiences, the true source of being, and come again into the fullness of perfection. For many people, the reason why they begin to search within is because they have sought outside themselves. There's been issues in their life. It could be health issues or other kinds of crises. And in the outer seeking, not finding a solution, turn inwards. And so there is a loving, underlying loving presence that gives them the intelligence to begin to seek within what they're not finding without. Through the self-conscious knowing that thus attained, when someone turns within, they begin that search and that journey into self-conscious knowing. The outer experience of life is but a constant changing, passing picture that the outer mind has created in its pretense, imagination, of being the real actor. Thus is the attention so constantly fixed on the outer, which alone contains imperfection, that the children of God have forgotten their own divinity and must come back to it again. Reincarnate. God is the giver, the receiver, and the gift. And the sole owner of all the intelligence, substance, energy, and opulence there is in the universe. There are stories of Saint Germain being able to manifest in his hands gold, jewels, anything desired through this intelligent substance. If the children of God would learn to give for the joy of giving, whether it be love, money, service, or whatever it may be, they would open the door to such vast opulence that it would be impossible to want for a single thing in the outer expression. And I invite you to consider that the joy of giving is the love, that presence of the I Am that is actually flowing through. Because it's an unlimited energy, it's an unlimited consciousness. And when we focus giving from this place, that vast opulence of energy will leave us uplifted rather than drained. And if we're experiencing a draining of one's energies, perhaps we're using our ego source love, our conditional love, which really isn't love, it's agenda. We're trying to use our own energy of the ego to support others. And when we realign to the I Am presence and allow anything to flow from there, then it alters all us and it alters the other person. The unfortunate thing in humanity, which has caused such rampant selfishness and unprecedented condemnation of each other, is the idea of claiming ownership to these wonderful blessings of God. For there is but one love acting, one intelligence, power, and substance, and that is God in every individual. It's easy to look around. Well, the very first time we were doing this class last year, and you look around and you could say, well, the work that my husband and I did created our home. and the money came from that effort, which put food on our table. And it's easy to kind of think of everything in that terms, and yet one of the awakenings that happened for me more personally was the understanding that everything that we consider that I have or that we have isn't ours at all. It's divine sources, and it will return to source. So nothing is really ours other than the love that we work with. So the warning that should be placed before every student and individual is to guard against the desire of the outer self to claim power of its own. If in every act of the personality God were given full credit, transformations unbelievable could not help but take place in the one, thus giving full credit and power where it belongs. So the invitation is to invite even greater I am presence flowing through you, so that the consciousness, if there's anything in your personality that is taking credit for an achievement, taking credit for whatever, to remember to align more, if you choose to that it's the energy that worked through us that made the opportunity come to us, that made us react to that opportunity and brought together all the things that needed to coalesce in order for that opportunity to come to fruition. And then giving that credit, that thanks, its full power of credit. There has rarely been a correct understanding of supply and demand. There is positively abundant supply omnipresent, but the demand for it must be made before the law of the universe permits it to come into expression and use into the individual. So, all of us that are trying to do our manifestations, and, we're making these conscious efforts. If we're making it from a place that we're the ones generating it, you're actually not quite using the law of the universe and to its fullest extent. The fullest extent is to use the energy of the universe, which is the I am. The individual, having free will, must consciously, with full determination, make the demand, and it cannot fail to come into expression, no matter what it is, so long as the individual holds an unwavering, determined consciousness and be in the I am presence, and be in that place that it isn't us, the human, generating the demand or the intention. It is the I am. This simple statement, used with sincere determination, I am the great opulence of God made visible in my use right now and continuously. I am the great opulence of God made visible in my use right now and continuously. Will bring to the individual all he or she can possibly use. So I'm going to invite you, whether you say this to yourself in your mind or you speak it out loud, whatever, we use a statement connected to our I am presence in our heart space. Whenever we make that statement 3 times, one for the mind, one for the body, one for the soul, it's the use of 3s amplify the statement you're making. Okay, so we'll go saying this 3 times. I am the great opulence of God made visible in my use right now and continuously. I am the great opulence of God made visible in my use right now and continuously. I am the great opulence of God made visible in my use right now and continuously. And of course, if your word isn't God, just use a word that means all it is that ever has been, source, universe, whatever that word is. To amplify this even greater, when we make this statement, if we use our imagination and we imagine that great opulence, the golden light of love, and you make the statement, I am the great opulence of God made visible in my use right now and continuously. Notice how that shifts even greater. I am the great opulence of God made visible in my use right now and continuously. I am the great opulence of God made visible in my use right now and continuously, the golden love light. Putting gold around anything that you wish to bring in, or imagining just the golden light flowing alters your experience, alters your frequency. And as you hold that space of the I am, it's like a magnet. We're magnetic beings. We're magnetizing ourselves to that golden light, and then the golden light responds, bringing the opulence to us. The limiting element so many students seem unaware of is that they start out declaring the truth, for instance, as in the above statement. But before many hours have passed over their heads, if they were to analyze themselves conscientiously, they would find in their feelings lurking doubt or fear. For both these are feelings. And I have to add in here that the ego aspect of us generates these things because on different levels it fears oneness. So understanding that the ego fears oneness, as you can then ask in the I am presence to support yourself, to help release, to find release that fear of oneness. You know, the oneness that we seek, that we really wish, so that we, for example, don't feel so alone in our lives. On the other hand, we fear losing our independence. And so the invitation of asking Source for help with this that consciousness can begin to flow into support, shift, and change through love and truth. Naturally, this neutralizes to a large extent the constructive force that would quickly bring about the fulfillment of the demand or the desire. Once a student can become fully aware that every right, desire, or wish is God in action, propelling his or her energy forth to full accomplishment, and is always self-sustained, he or she would become aware of the limitless power, love, and intelligence he or she has with which to accomplish a given purpose. Those of us who have issues with self-worth, self-value, self-love, or we may have issues around being opulent because there's past teachings around poverty and poverty making one closer to God, or other kind of programs that we have in our mind. Divine Source itself is opulent. It's rich. and the divinity within us, we can activate that richness through that limitless love that comes from that presence. The more that we focus on the presence and the less we focus on the stories of the mind, the stronger we become in that love, power, and intelligence. With this simple understanding, the word failure would be completely wiped out from his or her world, and in a very short time from his or her consciousness, because he or she would see that he or she was wielding intelligence and power that could not fail. You're using an energy that's forever and ever self-sustaining, and it is that energy that has been with us from the very beginning. It powers our soul. And our soul is unlimited. And therefore, there's nothing at the soul level that is ever a failure. At the soul level, we are intelligence, power, and love. And we're activating that into our human selves to bring greater good to us and to humanity. Thus, students and individuals come into their full dominion as God intends. It was never intended by the great, all-wise, all-loving Father that any of his children should want for a single thing. But because they allow their attention to become fixed on the outer appearance, which is like the changing sands of the desert, they have, knowingly or unknowingly, cut themselves off to a large degree from that great opulence and intelligence. Allowing yourself, they're asking us to sit on the screen, Saint Germain. Right now in our world, in some ways, it's a repeat of the 1930s. And when we fix on the outer world, all the problems of the world, all the fears generating in the world, and we think that that is real, all the things in the outer world change. What does not change is the I am within. And when you fix on the outer, you cannot be with the inner. And so the outer is then being generated, energy being added to. All we need to do is to recenter ourselves and focus on that great opulence and intelligence. And give thanks, even if it hasn't appeared yet, giving thanks for the energy until it becomes substance. This great opulence is their birthright, which everyone can have who will again turn to the I am, the active principle of God, forever within himself or herself, as the only source of active life, intelligence, and opulence. So let's make a statement out of this, shall we? We can say, I am the active principle of God, the only source of active life, intelligence, and opulence. You can even say, I am the great opulence. I am the great opulence, the active principle of God, the only source of active life, intelligence, and opulence. Let's do this together. I am the great opulence. I am the active principle of God, the only source of active life, intelligence, and opulence. I am the great opulence. I am the active principle of God, the only source of active life, intelligence, and opulence. I am the great opulence. I am the active principle of God, the only source of active life, intelligence, and opulence. Sitting in that energy, as you generate it, your vibration gets higher and higher. As you get stronger in the feeling of it, the light gets stronger and stronger, and this begins to activate, sending it outwards like rays of the sun into your aura, into your home, your life, your world, for your benefit and for the highest benefit of all, harming none, because it's love. All through the ages, there have been certain standards of conduct necessary for the student who desires to reach beyond certain attainments. This is the conserving and governing of the life force through the sex. Genders have subtle differences in their energy flows. For an individual who has been using this energy without any thought of governing it to suddenly say, I will cease this, cut it off as it were, without understanding the correct attitude of consciousness, would be simply suppressing a flow of energy which he or she has caused to flow in the wrong direction. So how I understand this is we can misuse any aspect of our human self, and that includes misusing the sexual activity in a way that is not generated through pure love, pure consciousness, but rather what I can take from a person or get from a person, etc., to fulfill our human desire. And I believe that's what Saint Germain is pointing to here, is that if we're using sex for anything other than to generate love and oneness with someone, then the energy is flowing in the wrong direction. Any student who wishes to govern this will find the simple statement most efficient if used understanding any one particular thing that can be given. This will normally and naturally generate or govern, the flow of the life energy and bring it back through its natural channels. So if you have misused the power of sex, or power anywhere for that matter, or have been sexually abused or something of that nature, he's saying that the statement that's coming up will help reverse this. And it is the mighty statement of Jesus, I am the resurrection and the life. So as you sit there, we'll repeat this statement 3 times, because we've all had experiences where, and traumas. I believe there's hardly anyone in existence that hasn't had a trauma where they have felt a loss or a death of a part of themselves, and to resurrect the life of who we came when we were first incarnated, when we first became a soul. We had a certain life within us that has dimmed. So as you rest there, it would resurrect, bring more light into and reactivate light and love within any aspect of ourselves that we have diminished on any level. In our heart space, we'll make the declaration, I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. And as you feel those words, the light begins to brighten within ourselves, bringing to life more of who we really are, bringing it up from our I am presence into our being, into our bodies, our minds, our emotions, our energies, the qualities of love, of the I am, breathes life, resurrects life, rebuilds the life. Anything that has been harmed, anything we've given away, surrendered through fear and injustice on any level. I am the resurrection. I am the life. That's it. Brilliant, bright love light from the I am flowing out, bringing more life to life through us. As you move to the next slide, these beautiful images are from the Marius Fine Art Studios. They're pictures of the images that I purchased in Mount Shasta. I am the resurrection. I am the life. Sometimes words aren't enough, but images help convey emotion, vibration, feeling, and consciousness. When you are making the statement, the I am, the resurrection, I am, the life, it acknowledges your God presence, dwells within you as you, and I've added this piece in here in the different colors to make it clearly understood that this is not Saint Germain's teaching here. That when we acknowledge the God presence within us, dwelling within us as you, it is the teachings that he does give. The statement will not only purify the thought, but it is most powerful, lifting and adjusting force that can be used for the correction of this greatest of barriers to the full height of spiritual attainment. And when Saint Germain says something like this, it's up to us to recognize that he is giving us a key. So often people skip over something to get to the next thing. And here he's saying that the I am the resurrection, I am the light statement, when used, will purify our thought. It will lift us up. It will adjust us. It corrects. It resolves through that correction. The greatest barrier that our ego mind puts up to keep us from the full height of spiritual attainment. It's up to us to use it. Use the statement. If we do want to receive the full height of spiritual attainment, to work with that statement he has given from that I am presence within ourselves. Using the feeling to generate the intensity of the light to flow through us and into our lives. Anyone who begins to feel the inner impulse to correct this condition and will use the statement earnestly and continuously will raise this marvelous current of energy to the highest center of the brain, as was originally intended. So the highest center of the brain, he could be there speaking about, the different glands in the brain. But he could also be speaking of the ball of consciousness, or he could be including all of these in the one. And in the end, does it really matter if we fully understand the highest center of the brain for now, and instead just realize that the current of energy will activate within our brain and correct the condition, the mental condition, the hardware that is our computer, if you will. The hardware of the brain, the mind flows through the hardware of the brain, correcting the brain and also correcting the energy through the brain until the oneness occurs for all of us, that we are divine source. He or she will find his or her mind flooded with the most marvelous ideas, with the abundant sustaining power and ability coming into expression and use for the blessing of mankind. I ask any student to try this and watch for results in his or her own mind and body. And I will share with you that this week I was redoing these slides because they needed to be redone so that they're more readable. And I received 2 beautiful, marvelous ideas to assist others. And because I didn't take the time at the moment to write them down, it's like, oh, those would be really great ideas to be helpful for people. And of course, now I have to ask Source to bring them back. So when you start to actually get your results, meaning that you're getting these marvelous ideas, for example, remember to take the moment to write them down. Feel deeply the statement of Jesus, I am the resurrection and the life. Feel it deeply. I am the resurrection. I am the life. Moving deeper into the feeling. I am the resurrection and the life. Go deeper still. I am the resurrection and the life. And repeating it 3 times, either silently or audibly, and noticing the lifting of consciousness, which you will experience. There may be some who will need to try this several times in order to feel the amazing uplift that others will experience on the first trial. We are each in different places energetically when we come to class. And so sometimes we'll make the statement and we'll instantly feel that uplift, and others, it may not come in as quickly. It's okay. Just keep with it. This will show you in a small way what can be done by its continual use and continued use. There is only one means of overcoming or rising out of anything, and that is, after you know what it is you are to rise out of, so after you know what that is, to take your outer attention completely away from it, fixing it firmly upon the above statement. So whatever disharmony, whatever fear, whatever emotion that is not truthful, which is causing dis-ease, as soon as you recognize what that is, then you move directly into your I am presence, focusing in on your heart space, and just keep repeating, I am the resurrection, I am the life. Any condition in the outer experience that one wishes to overcome can readily be accomplished by the use of this statement, as well as using it to change the flow of the misdirected energy. I had one student who felt the inner impulse to redirect this mighty energy, and the use of the single statement alone enabled her with little assistance to raise her body. So she had some kind of medical thing, likely. In 1 year, a marvelous transformation took place in her entire outer appearance. It seems incredible that in the recorded statements accredited to Jesus, which were only part of what he gave forth, that so few of humanity would receive the mighty import of these wonderful words of wisdom. At no time in history of the world have so many mighty statements been given as he taught. If you go into some of the teachings of Jesus that are not in the standard Bible, but they were said to be parts of the Bible that were found later or edited out, whatever you want to say, there are teachings out there on YouTube, for example, of more statements that he gave than are actually recorded in a Bible. Every one of these, when consciously used, holds within it the attendant radiance and accomplishment with which he attained. You not only have this power of the I Am, but his individual assistance also when these statements are used. One should often contemplate the true meaning of these mighty statements of Jesus. Once you understand that your thought, feeling, and expression of I Am sets the mighty God power in you into action without limit, then you receive that upon which the desire is fixed. So whatever it is that you feel in your heart that you desire from that loving place with harm to none, you imagine, and I am, when you say the I am, that is when you are bringing your thought, feeling, expression, and you're activating that mighty God power into action, into your body, into your mind, into your life, and into your world. When you are coming into statements, if you are someone that is curious about the life of Jesus or the teachings of Jesus, if you consciously go into your heart and you ask for that divine love, his consciousness, truthfully seeking, openly seeking the truth of what that statement is, and you just dwell on it, contemplate on it, Saint Germain is saying that you will receive a lot of light and radiance of him, of his qualities of love as an ascended master. It should be no trouble for the student to see and understand that the outer appearance is but man's distorted creation. By claiming the outer as a source of power, when a moment's contemplation will cause him or her to realize that there is but one love, intelligence, and power which can act, and that is God. The human or outer defects or discrepancies have nothing to do with the omnipresent perfection of God. How many times do we blame God for the outer? For anything imperfect is the creation of the outer concept of mankind. There is no possible means by bringing this perfection into your mind, body, or outer experience, except by knowing and accepting the mighty active presence of God in you. Such full recognition will cause the inner power to propel this perfection of God into your outer visible experience. Say to students, I am putting forth as a messenger of this truth statements of truth which will positively produce results if unwaveringly held to and used. If you consider each one of us like radio stations, when we tune exactly into the frequency of the radio station, we have the perfect sound quality. We're able to understand the communication. But if we move even 0.1 off the setting, that there's distortion. This slide is asking us to stay finely tuned, by unwaveringly not moving off the station, but holding to, so that we can get that strongest vibration of love and truth. which will yield great results. To not let our ego mind pull us off station, even 0.1 or 0.1 or 0.1, but to keep ourselves finely tuned right on station. And the way to stay right on station is to take the time to center, to be in the I am presence, and to trust it. Students think things do not work because they do a thing today and forget it all next week. The desire for light and truth is the presence of God in the desire, propelling itself forth into action. For illumination, use the statement, I am the full comprehension and illumination of this thing I want to know and understand. You sit in the heart space, in the I am, to bring more illumination out. We'll say this 3 times. I am the full comprehension and illumination of this thing I want to know and understand. I am the full comprehension and illumination of this thing I want to know and understand. I am the full comprehension and illumination of this thing I want to know and understand. According to the slide, what we're wanting to know is that light and truth, that presence of God within us propelling itself forth into action. If we're using this slide as an example, that's the desire of what we want to know. So I want to know the desire and light of truth, the presence of God within me propelling itself into action. I am the full comprehension and illumination of this thing. We're qualifying what that thing is. That thing is the desire for light and truth, the presence of God within propelling itself forth into action. That's what I want to know and understand. For you, it might be something else, but an example of this slide, I am the full comprehension and illumination of this thing, this desire for light and truth, this God presence within propelling itself forth into action. I want to know, I want to understand, from that sincere place within myself so I can embody it. I am the full comprehension and illumination of this thing, the desire for light and truth, the presence of God propelling itself forth into action. I want to know, I want to understand, I want to embody. Notice what you notice when that sincerity, that feeling, that openness, radiating out so that the universe can respond. The day your eyes are open to see some of these marvelous ascended beings, the joy will last through eternity. If one does not take the attitude that I have the ability to do this, he or she never in the world can accomplish the thing he or she wishes to do. The moment you express, I am the resurrection and the life in thought and feeling, it immediately turns all of the energy of your being to the center of the brain, which is the source of your being. Now, isn't that interesting? The I am turns the energy of your being to the center of the brain, which is the source of your being. Where do you sense the source of your being in the center of your brain? I am the resurrection and the light. I am the resurrection and the light. I am the resurrection and life. Can you already sense stimulation in the center of your brain? Tingling, vibration. Maybe you're a visual person. Maybe you're seeing the center of the brain being lit up, activating the source of your being so that it can respond, nourish the body, and bring more truth to the body, more truth to the mind. And you sense that in gratitude for the awareness, the gift, the activity, and how gratitude, appreciation adds to the vibration, the quality. That's it. You're allowing the I Am presence to be more active within you. Which will begin to shift you and shift your reality. Into divine flow. Receive divine nourishment, divine rest, divine well-being, divine unity. Continue to breathe in and out as more and more of this is activated within our brain center. That's it. Anytime one gets drawn out of this activity, just refocus and return to it. That's it. Giving thanks for all that we've been receiving here and we continue to receive. When you revisit these slides later, the energy is here again for you to add to the consciousness, the vibration and the shift that you have already received in this moment. Thank you. You cannot overestimate the power in this statement. There is no limit to what you can do with it. It was the statement of Jesus used most in his most difficult trials. Always know that when you decree a constructive thing, it is God in you propelling you to do it. It is the most foolish question imaginable to ask. Have you proved this in your own experience? Each individual has to prove it to himself or herself, or it will mean nothing. Nothing ever really means anything to anyone until he or she uses it. The feeling carries with it a certain coexistent sight. One often feels a thing with such clearness that he or she really sees it from the inner standpoint. It is your personal experience with this work that will give you the clarity and the movement to the inner standpoint, the inner truth of what this light frequency and radiation is providing through Saint Germain from Source. As you enter the ascended state, thought, feeling, seeing, and color are almost simultaneously manifest. Harmonious sound is quiet. This is why ravishing music is the most quieting in its effect, while bombastic music is just the opposite. Saint Germain, the benediction or blessing. And you can choose to receive this with your eyes closed while I read it, or read it with me with your eyes open. Thou mighty, majestic, conquering I am. We give praise and thanks for our comprehension of Thee as God acting in us. Saint Germain is again speaking to the I am within us and praising the I am and giving thanks. The I am within each of us is the same I am which created us. When we give thanks and praise our I am within, we are giving thanks and praise to the great I am. There is no separation. Thou mighty, majestic, conquering I am. We give praise and thanks for our comprehension of Thee as God acting in us. And with this mighty presence and radiance, cause us to feel the mighty import of Thy mighty truth and wondrous presence, Thy mighty strength, the mighty knowingness. We import files, the wholeness. When we transfer files from one thing to another, the mighty import of all the files of the mightiness of the I am presence, the radiance gets imported to us of Thy mighty truth and wondrous presence. We raise in vibration, and thus we're able to communicate, receive higher consciousness energies, higher consciousness support, wisdom, understanding, truth, knowledge. We can receive abundance, prosperity, wisdom, generosity, self-sustaining qualities of light flowing through us, as well as the presence gets expanded upon and becomes even more radiant. When we contemplate Thee, when we contemplate love, that we are that, let Thy mighty radiance fill us. Contemplate, reopen the files. So that the mighty radiance can fill us with that comprehending consciousness. The awareness to comprehend, to know. We can't know something until we have the consciousness of the awareness. The mighty radiance fills us with the consciousness opens our awareness, opens us to awareness. And once the doors open to awareness, then we can receive what it is we wish to know and apply by assertions of truth more and more perfectly. We give praise and thanks for thy mighty perfection and truth. For all those who look unwaveringly to thee, keeping our dial attuned to the radio station, choosing to hold our focus there, no matter what the outer world is giving us, or outer mind feeding us. And that's the end of Discourse 2, given on October 6, 1932. With this now, we're going to go into the Diamond Light meditation. And we start with single-minded. We'll do this for a minute or two in quiet, bringing our focus to our mind, or to our nose, where the air moves in and out, right in the rims or just at the tip of the nose. Each time there's a distraction, just honor it and bring your focus gently back, and we'll do this in silence for a couple of minutes. Take a nice breath, giving yourself thanks for practicing single-minded meditation. Guy Ballard or Godfrey Ray King was the pen name recommended in his books to do some form of stillness, because that's what Saint Germain told him to do and recommended to be included in his books. Step 2. I now move into my I Am presence. In your heart, I now move into my I Am presence, even if I don't know how. I now move into my I Am presence, even if I don't know how. I am now my I Am presence. I am now my I Am presence. I am now my I Am presence. These were the steps given to me last year. The beginning steps. It's up to you whether you need these beginning steps now of step 2. You might need to just go right to step 3 instead. And then step 4, my I Am presence now brings down the greatest intensity of pure love, light, and truth, the mighty great I Am wills for me. Thank you. My I Am presence now brings down the greatest intensity of pure love, light, and truth, the mighty great I Am wills for me. Thank you. As you make this statement, my I Am presence now brings down the greatest intensity of pure love, light, and truth, the mighty great I Am wills for me. You imagine a most brilliant diamond light surrounding you and moving down through you to Mother Earth. And you keep breathing in and out this diamond light until you find yourself so full in this light that you become one with this light. As you imagine this most brilliant diamond light, it's flowing down all around you, all the way down to Mother Earth. It's also flowing through you. The diamond light is coming in with each breath, filling your lungs and moving through your circulatory system and down into your cells. The greatest intensity of diamond white light, the light of pure love and truth, the mighty great I Am wills for me. Breathing this in and out. That's it. As you become more and more at one with this light, grateful, appreciating the gift, the light, the love, the purity, and the purification as it increases the truth within your body, carries the truth of consciousness. The body illuminates with greater clarity, and with clarity comes greater peace. In the Gaia ballads, book, it was recommended to set aside 20 minutes or so for a meditation such as this one. 2 or 3 times a day, 4 if you can do it. But even if you can do smaller meditations in the day, it's something that will contribute to your goodness. Now we're going to move into a second meditation, and this is the golden light meditation. If you were doing this on your own, as an individual, you would do the single-minded meditation first. I now move into my I am presence. I am now my I am presence, which you are already in. Now we're going to ask for the golden light. My I am presence now brings out from within my golden divine light, the I am, the greatest intensity of creative power. The mighty great I am wills for me. Thank you. My I am presence now brings out from within the I am, my golden divine light, the greatest intensity of creative power. The mighty great I am wills for me. Thank you. My I am presence now brings out from within my I am, golden divine light, the greatest intensity of creative power. The mighty great I am wills for me. Thank you. With your focus on that heart center, imagine the most radiant golden light, the creative fire of divine love. Breathing this in and out until you become one with this light of the golden presence. That's it. Breathing it in with the air, the golden light flowing through our cells and the oxygen, the consciousness, creative fire of divine love, the opulence, prosperity, creative thought, creative words, creative actions, drawing creative opportunities to us, co-creations with other creative fires of divine love and light in others. Unifying with the beautiful, intense, golden light of divinity. Acknowledging it in ourselves and each other is acknowledging the mighty great I am, that connects us all in the oneness of love, truth, and creativity. Radiates from your body and the cells into the brain and the mind. Flows down to Mother Earth. Flows out into our aura. All our nerves, the eyes, the ears, the mouth, all the sensory of the skin, attuning ourselves to the creative power. We see from creative power. We feel the creative power. Experiencing the creative power, the consciousness of it, so that it becomes a knowing that we can embody, because our bodies and minds and emotions hold a consciousness. We open the door to the consciousness. So we can become our truth. A place we can live in, reside in. And create from. Giving thanks for the energy and the space we now find ourselves in. We can glow in this golden light throughout our day. In a moment, I'll count you up, 1 up to 5. And when you reach 5, fully alert, fully immersed, coming all the way back. 1, calmly now. 2, comfortably. 3, head to toe, feeling good, feeling perfect in every way. 4, remaining in the golden glow. Your eyes are cool and clear, like a cool brook has just washed through them. And 5, fully alert, fully immersed, fully aware, and in your golden glow of creative power. Thank you. Have a drink of water if you need. And you can repeat this meditation regularly, 3 to 4 times a day. Those of us that are wanting and desiring greater creativity, greater use of divine will, this is the meditation. And the golden light too.